Hello everybody and welcome to another Mystery Box Function Challenge. In the Mystery Box you have some math and your challenge is to find out what it is. Pause the video, click the link in the description, try this out, and when you think you've got an idea, come on back and see if we get the same thing. All right, let's begin with a 0. Oh, so 0 gives us, well, it says negative infinity. We know that's not technically a right answer, but at 0, the graph is going to be way down at the bottom. So let's try a 1. All right, so 1 gives us negative 2. Let's try a 2. 2 gives us negative 1. Let's try 3. Okay, I've got some suspicions about what might be going on. I'm going to try a 1/2 here. Yeah, and so what I'm getting is this kind of arm that looks pretty familiar to me by now of this rational function where you have x on the bottom of a fraction. Let's try some negative numbers. Let's do a negative 1. It gives us a positive 2 and a negative 2. Yeah, let's just do a couple more here. Negative 3. I'm going to do a negative 1/2 as well. Yeah, we've got these symmetrical arms, symmetrical about the origin of this thing that looks like your traditional, 1 over x, although not exactly, because 1 over x has an arm here and an arm here, but we've got an arm in the other two quadrants. I think what that means is it's a negative. But I also don't think it's a negative 1 over x, because if you put a 1 in negative 1 over x, you get negative 1 over 1, and that would be negative 1, but we get a negative 2. So how do you get a negative 2 out of that? Well, I guess the easiest thing to do is instead of a 1 up here, you could replace it with a 2. Well, let's see if that works for the other numbers. So my suspicion is this is negative 2 over x. If you put in a 0, of course, that's not going to give you an answer that makes sense, and that's why the computer comes up with negative infinity. If you put in a 2, that'd be negative 2 over 2. That would be negative 1. And that's what we're getting here. Let's try this 3. So if I put in a 3, negative 2 over 3, that would equal negative 2/3. And I do have negative 6 repeating, so that looks good. What about this 1/2? I'm testing a lot of points here, but I want to make sure. I think we've got it, but I want to make sure. So negative 2 over 1/2. So how do you resolve this? Well, one thing you could do is multiply by 2 over 2. The reason I do that is because I've got 1/2 on the bottom, and 1/2 times 2 is 1. So this just becomes a 1 on the bottom of the fraction, which we don't even need to think about. And then on the top, you get negative 2 times 2. So that all equals a negative 4. Negative 4 over 1 is the same thing as negative 4. So when we put in 1/2, did we get a negative 4? And yes, we did. Okay, I am convinced at this point that it is negative 2 over x. Let's go ahead and reveal that. Yeah, negative 2 over x, and we can graph that as well. And there it is, beautiful, gently sloping out to infinity, up and down and left and right, arms of a rational function. They're just moved a little bit away from the origin because it's 2 over x, and then they're flipped into quadrants 2 and 4 instead of what we usually get, which is quadrants 1 and 3. Well, how did that go for you? I think that was a pretty tough one. Did you see that it had something to do with a rational function? Let me know. Thanks, everybody.